Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
I hope everyone is doing well out there. We are in crazy times. If you're listening to this in the future, hopefully you aren't living in a world where you have to live inside. But
yeah,
I really hope everyone's doing okay. And just
we are at this moment modeling good behavior. We are social distancing from one another.
That's what I was just going to say. For the past 6 years.
I'm at least a couple hundred miles from you guys. So, that's safe.
Yeah, I'm a good 70 miles from Dave. So, and
that's risky.
Way further from you.
That's risky. I got to say, I'm being more responsible. So,
yeah,
we're gonna do a normal show. The only thing I just want to say, people, I know it's not easy. Stay in your house. Stay away from people. People who are out doing normal things are killing people, and it's not a joke. So these idiots in Florida who are on the beaches, everyone stayed in their house for the next 3 weeks, we could get this thing done faster. And just
the best thing that can happen is this really is nothing, but that's not going to happen. So
no, I mean it's already proven to not be nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
We just need to be smart.
So we're past that. We're past that. That's not even something that you can believe anymore. So yeah,
just.
Take care of yourselves.
Inside, keep away from people.
Yep. And
that's the best thing you could do.
And just look out for the people that used to take care of you. So we have 300,000 people who fought in World War I who are still alive. Think about that. That is
we do?
That is the survivors of the greatest generation. And we could lose that entire generation.
Wait, I hate to question you mean World War II?
World War II.
Yes,
you said World War I.
Way more sense.
No, I'm sorry. Okay, World War. No, definitely World War I. We lost the last person the year.
I was questioning that too.
There's
World War II.
People
we could
over
lose
100?
that. We could lose the entire greatest generation here. So
yeah.
That
just reminds me of something. Okay, but you are absolutely right. That was a real generation of people. We're a bunch of pussies compared to every single one of those people.
We don't know what sacrifice
or
means.
Not.
No doubt.
Huh?
We don't know what sacrifice means, and if you don't believe that, you weren't in line behind the guy with the cart full of toilet paper. So.
Yeah, true. Anyway, let's go back to our normal show. Hope everyone just do the right thing. We'll get through this, and it'll be good again. Let's go random. Barry, what do you got?
Well, I mean, I guess it's sort of super obvious, but Black Widow is indefinitely delayed, as you guys I'm sure know. There's a lot going on movie-wise. There's a lot going on entertainment-wise. Well, there's just a lot going on. But the movie studios are scrambling to try to figure out what to do, and it's not the only movie that's been delayed, but it's not just affecting releases, it's affecting productions, it's affecting everything. So, interesting. I mean, Universal has announced that they're putting some of their movies on demand early, which, that's what I do for a living, as most of you may have heard me say at some point or another. So, that one's kind of close to home for me. But some of the movies that they're putting on demand are still in theaters, and some of them were just out of theaters, but before they would have come out on Blu-ray. So
that's good for business, and it's good for people who are home too. So
there's a lot of people stuck home. So, and I think we're going to see a bunch of other studios following suit. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, one of my kids was saying to me, just put Black Widow on demand, but it's different when you've got hundreds of millions of dollars wrapped up in something.
You can't do blockbusters like that. Other movies you can.
Yeah. You just can't. Even if you charge $50, you can't do it. They're not going to make their money back.
No. Our tiny little local movie theater, which I love, which is where I went to see movies when I was a little kid before it was carved up into a bunch of theaters, it's closed. They closed last week. And on the marquee, in place of the movies listed, is the quote, "The night is always darkest just before the dawn. Harvey Dent, The Dark Knight. We will see you soon."
Oh, that's cool. Really nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And yep. So, yep.
The only unfortunate thing, and I know movies and TV shows are on hiatus, Batgirl, The Flash, and Supergirl are still on. We're not getting away from them. I literally have more time on my hands than ever.
I'm going to call you on this because you nail me on it every single time. It's Batwoman, Dave. It's Batwoman.
What did I say? Batgirl?
Batgirl. Just like I always do. So
yes. But they're stacked up on my TiVo. I just can't bring myself to watch them.
I'm like 4 episodes behind on Flash. You think
likewise,
this would be the perfect time to catch up, but
I think Picard might be the only thing that I'm keeping up with at the moment. So I got a bunch of good stuff to watch, and I got to do that. So
I know we haven't talked about Picard in a while. Do we want to spend any time talking about Picard, or do you want to
let's do it next week?
It'll be wrapped soon. We got 2 more eps. So
the last episode of Hawaii Five-0 is this week.
Last ever?
Yeah,
I thought that was in like 1974.
No. 10 years. I've watched every one of them. It's okay.
Has it been on for 10 years?
Been on for 10 years.
Oh, good God. Okay.
Is Grace Park still on that show?
Who?
Grace Park.
No, she's been gone. You know who's on? Katrina, our pal Katrina Law.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, Todd, what do you got?
Okay. So I don't necessarily know that this is going to happen, but in my heart of hearts, I desperately want this to happen. Kevin Smith has been talking about the rumor that Daredevil, and as personified by Charlie Cox, would be in the next Spider-Man movie. And if you think about it, it could make a lot of sense. He originally said that what he had heard, he had like insider information that a Marvel character as a lawyer would be in the next Spider-Man movie, and people immediately went to Jessica Walters, who is Jennifer Walters, who is She-Hulk, okay, and is because that character is being introduced, and he said no, the other lawyer, and with Spider-Man at the end of the last movie having Mysterio's death pinned on him.
Oh,
okay.
He needs legal help.
He needs some legal help. Damn, this would be great. I mean, I most of what Kevin Smith says, he's talking out of his ass. But
I would almost argue that that's not even true. He does have a lot of inside information.
He does, but if you go back and if you go back and read the Kevin Smith headline making things, most of them don't happen. I think this could. I've been thinking about this for 2 days since I read this, and there's like, it's been picked up by a whole bunch of other sources and sites on the internet, and they're talking about, but everybody's referencing the same comments, so it's not corroborated in any way. If you go back 3 years ago, one of the producers said one of the things he would love to do, if he could, one of the Spider-Man producers said, is bring that Daredevil into the same, basically the same storyline as Spider-Man, because he thinks that they could, the light and the dark could complement each other. It could be very, very interesting.
That'd be great.
That'd be cool.
Spider-Man Daredevil crossovers have always really been interesting. Yeah, I would totally be up for that. So we shall see.
Speaking of Kevin Smith, what I think is this whole movie that he put out last year, the whole release of it was so weird because he toured it around the country, but it just came out on Blu-ray like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. It's already on Amazon Prime, so if anybody wants to watch Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, you can watch it for free now if you have Amazon Prime.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and it was worth watching. I liked it.
Yeah. His quote was, "I heard another piece of good effing news." He didn't say effing. Did you hear that Spider-Man, the new Spider-man movie, going to have a lawyer in it?
He didn't say freaking.
Yeah, he didn't say freaking either. Charlie Cox, they're bringing back in as Matt Murdock. That's been the rumor online, and they say it's like the one, like Marvel's, God damn it, how did that get out? Yeah. It would be, I got to say, it would be very interesting if this happened, because we know they're in the same continuity, but this would kind of, at that point, cement all those other characters. People, there's been rumors about like recasting them and so forth, but
do we need any of those other characters though? Really?
No.
Luke or Jessica
Not really.
or Iron Fist.
I think a world without Iron Fist is hardly a world worth living. Yeah. No, I think I'd love to see someone with better direction do some things with a few of them. So,
well, that'd be interesting to see him in Spider-Man. So that'd be cool.
It really would. Dave, what do you got?
I have just a completely random. Mine is very. So couple, I don't know, 6 months ago, one of my what's in the boxes, I believe, was the Pulsar watch that I bought that Roger Moore wore in Live and Let Die. It's the first digital watch. Mm-hmm. Hamilton made it under the Pulsar brand. They're actually reintroducing that for some bizarre reason.
That same watch?
The same, a recreation of that same watch, the Pulsar P2. It's going to be called Hamilton, and where it said Pulsar at the bottom, it'll say Hamilton for whatever reason. I just thought this was interesting. Like, why in this day and age would they want to come out with that? I guess they reference some things. Some people have been sort of talking about it because it's this retro thing, but the stainless steel version is going to be $7.95.
Yeah.
You could buy for $7.95. You could buy an original one in like perfect condition. So that's a little weird.
That is a little weird.
I paid $250 for mine, but I just think that's weird. That's just some random thing, and it was on the Hollywood Reporter, and they, it is referenced as the James Bond watch, or one of them anyway. So I just thought that was kind of cool since we talked about that.
Interesting. Have you ever spent the cost of what you could spend for an original on a reproduction of anything?
On anything? I'm sure.
I can think of one that comes to mind.
Do I ever spent the cost of a reproduction that you could buy an original?
You could buy an original for the same thing.
I can't.
And I think all three of us have bought this.
What would that be?
The Masterpiece Astronaut, G.I. Joe Masterpiece Astronaut, $150 from FAO, right?
Yeah,
it was an FAO exclusive.
Yeah, that's true.
I think I paid $1.25 for my original.
Yeah, that's what it was, right?
Yeah, it was $149. So
yeah, true. Yeah, some of those things were crazy.
Yeah, it is true.
Oh, they made other things now.
I am just pouring myself. I make myself a rum and coke with Element rum. This is not a commercial, but I guess it is from a friend of mine's brewery, local brewery, and they have a kind of a science theme. And I gave Dave one of these for Christmas. I gave him the vodka.
Yeah.
But I'm testing live online the rum for the first time ever. So
nice.
It comes in a beaker, which is really cool. So.
That's cool. What are you having it with?
Coke and a lime.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought you were pouring it straight. I know it's been a couple of days for you.
Yeah, it has been a
couple of days for everybody, but yeah.
So
we're not downing straight alcohol yet.
Yep.
Just one other thing I was going to mention. You guys both know I've been selling a ton of stuff, and it's been going well. I've stopped that now, but this has never happened to me before, and I'm curious. I'm sure it hasn't happened to either of you, but I sold an empty box to somebody.
Oh, Todd sold an empty box once for a lot of money, right?
I got.
But this was unintentional. This was something I thought had things in it.
Oh my God! Really?
And when I shipped it to them, the guy's like, "This is a great box, but where's the item?" You know what it was? It's the Adventure Team Hallmark ornament of the helicopter, the G.I. Joe helicopter ornament.
Yep. Which I gotta say, empty does not. I've had to open that before to see if there was an ornament in it.
So I found one in a box. I never bothered to open it. I assumed that there was one in there, and I sold it to the guy, and he was very good about it. By the way, this actually goes back like 2 months ago. I just never told you guys. And then I realized in my display case right here where I'm pointing, I've got a helicopter, and I guess that must have been the box for it. I thought it was a complete one. So yeah, I've with all it's the only mistake I've made selling tons and tons of stuff over the last couple months, but I sold an empty box.
Yeah. Many years ago, I bought a large lot of stuff. This is what Dave was referencing, And mixed in that was a Perilous Rescue set, and it was basically put back in a box wet, and it was all dried and shriveled up, and there was nothing to it, but the box was pretty much perfect. And I said, hey, you know what? I didn't pay a ton of money for this lot. If I could get somebody to pay me $50 or $75 for the box, I'll be happy. And I got $1,600 for the box. So, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I got 15 for my helicopter box, but I ended up crediting the guy back, so I got nothing for it. But he did better than I did.
You know who's awesome and will not send you an empty box? Fanboy Collectibles.
Fanboy Collectibles.
Yes, that was a good one. It's just happiness in a box when you get something from them.
Always.
Check those guys out. Okay. Lots of stuff, obviously. I'm glad we're recording this because the thing you need to buy is on pre-order. Deluxe Mandalorian in his Beskar armor with the child, and it's awesome. If you haven't seen it...
I don't remember. It's been a long time since they sold a figure that had this much stuff.
There's a ton. Everything from that show that you're like, wow, look at that, is almost in this figure, including the ice cream maker is in this deluxe figure.
Yeah, a light-up ice cream maker that has the doors that fold down with all the Beskar inside. It's like unbelievable.
As soon as I saw that, write it in my notes. I emailed Troy, and I was definitely on my list.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I've got the original version on pre-order, and I'm going to order this one too. So.
Yeah, it looks great. So if you're a fan of The Mandalorian, I don't guarantee anything, but those things will sell out. There's no doubt about it.
That one's going to be a hot ticket.
And it comes with the Baby Yoda. It comes with his little floating basket. It comes with everything. So it's awesome.
Plus, I know you guys don't like using stands, but it's got a cool display stand that has an add-on piece that holds the Baby Yoda.
I said to myself
carrier.
that same thing. I will probably use that stand because it's definitely a way to hold up the floating basket thing.
And whereas we don't usually say this, he actually has a very good price on it too. Because I first saw this somewhere else, and he's got it listed for a little bit.
His prices are always good, and they're always competitive. But yeah, this seems like it's actually
this thing comes with just even if whatever its retail price is, if that is its retail price, and people are probably marking up. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but you're getting a lot for your money with that figure for sure.
That's terrific.
Yep. So check them out, fanboycollectibles.com. Check them out in their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them Regular Joe sent you. Okay. So with all that's going on, and, there's a lot of bad crap going on out there, we're all home more. We figured let's do something that's sort of a little tied into this, the new staying home, as you all should, as we mentioned. So we decided let's discuss what to binge while you have extra time on your hands. If whether you are not working, and I wish you the best if you're not. If you are not commuting, I have 3 extra hours a day. I don't commute anymore. So there's plenty of television out there to binge. So we kind of broke this up into 4 categories, right? We're going to do a big binge, which is, Todd, why don't you explain that?
So the idea of big binge is something that has got enough seasons to it that it seemed daunting enough that you never wanted to commit the time to it. You really wanted to, but you said, yeah, I'm never going to have the time to watch 6 or 8 or 10 seasons, something. And so that's your big binge. Now you've got your time.
Well, this is our recommendation of you taking the time to do it.
Yep.
And then we have something called the pre-binge binge, or retro binge, sort of a show that was before there was such a thing as binging, maybe pre-90s or pre-80s, something like that.
Yep.
Also sort of a mindless entertainment binge, which is interesting category. And then a one-season show, a show that has one season that you should recommendation for you to binge. So let's start in the middle. Let's go with if it's okay with everybody, unless you have a format. Let's go with the pre-binge binge, sort of something older that would be good for you to binge while you have more time on your hands. Yep. Todd, why don't you go first?
Okay. On NBC.com, you can watch every episode of The $6 Million Man. and I would not suggest watching every episode of $6 Million Man. But you can skip and choose and go through. For some of you, it's going to be nostalgic. For
These are
others,
recommendations for people to have enjoyment, not
exactly. And like I said, but there's some quality stuff in there. I will say anything with other bionic people in it or a Sasquatch are a good time.
You could pull some shows out of there that are good.
There's definitely a lot of that are not worth watching. I would strongly avoid any episodes where he has a mustache.
I was going to say, if you just pick one and he's wearing, say, a satin jumpsuit and has a little thin mustache,
yeah,
pick another episode.
Yeah, anything where he's wearing a turtleneck tends to be okay. It's
Bell Bottoms good.
Yeah, but
or maybe not.
Again,
wait. It's on NBC.com,
and you can watch it on NBC.com. Yes, yeah.
Interesting, because we had to buy bootlegs of the series.
We did back in the day.
Anyways,
it's all there. And I actually watched a couple of them, and so it's that's my pre-binge or retro binge, but it's this show definitely does not hold up. There's no question that from a 12-year-old's perspective, this was the coolest thing ever.
Oh my God!
I can still remember staying in my backyard doing the.
Do we need to re-explain the concept of this topic to Todd?
But it's
not supposed to be things that don't hold up. It's supposed to be things that do.
What's that? No, I mean, how can Well, when you get back into that era, it's pretty hard. But like I said, there is a lot of enjoyment to be had there.
True.
Just like I said, all that slow motion running and throwing of things, it's a good time. So
yes,
yep.
Okay, Barry, what do you got? Retro binge.
So. I'm going to go with one that I'm basing this off of other recommendation from one of you guys, because while I remember seeing this show back in the 70s, I don't really remember it very well, but Todd especially has raved about it, so I'm going to say Rockford Files. I would go back and I would watch the Rockford Files.
Barry, you clearly don't understand the meaning of this segment. I guarantee the Rockford Files don't hold up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember it being a good show from when I was a kid, but I don't really remember much of it. And I figured it would be a good...
same show over and over again.
It is kind of the same show over and over again. The show lives entirely on the back of James Garner's charm, okay? I would put it to the good degree, other than the arc episodes, the kind of mythology episodes, I put it very much in the same vein as Magnum P.I. in that regard. Because,
but I bet it holds up better than $6 Million Man.
I bet it very much disagree.
Magnum
my friend.
Does.
All
right.
So,
well, I have a backup.
Like I said,
I do have a backup.
If you take James Garner out of there, it's really a standard police, kind of like private eye procedural.
Mannix,
of which
Barnaby Jones, it's the same show.
I have a warm place in my heart for that show. But yeah, it's one of those things that I'm not gonna go back to. I'd be afraid to do that. Barry, what?
I do have a backup. Alternate? My alternate was the Larry Sanders Show.
Boy, would that hold up. That was...
It's unique.
It is very unique.
Okay. I'm going to go, and I had several written down, so I'm going to give them all since both of yours
come on. We might be out for a long time. We might want to revisit this topic.
I'm not saying... There's probably a dozen $6 Million Man episodes you can watch that are watchable, right?
Oh, I think more than that, but anyways. Okay.
Anyway, I'm not sure we're going to go with. First of all, I'll go with the obvious one. I thought someone had The Twilight Zone from the 60s. There's 90 plus episodes. The Twilight Zone is...
I purposely didn't pick it because I feel like everybody's seen it so much.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That's why I didn't pick it, because of all the marathons and...
It is, in terms of hit and miss, it has got a higher ratio of hit than anything from that era. Okay? It's like there's some fall flat episodes, but you're at least 50-50 gems in there.
But if you haven't... This is sort of the things that if you haven't seen it, you should see these. That's
100%. If you haven't seen it,
I'll give
that
you
would be the top of my
backup,
list.
which is the Odd Couple, which is...
Yeah.
Definitely holds up. It is dated, but it is still funny as hell. Five seasons, awesome.
Yeah. No, there's no question about that. And that's on
CBS All Access. And
that's a Hall of Famer.
The one cop show that I feel does hold up, and I do watch it once in a while because it's on MeTV, is Columbo. I could still watch Columbo.
I never found Peter Falk watchable in Columbo.
Really?
Now that is okay. See, this is again. It's the same thing where this exists totally on the back of Peter Falk. It's generally very predictable show when you look at it, but his character is so endearing and so interesting to watch that it's I'll agree with that. I could watch a Columbo every now and again.
Good guest stars and sort of a twist.
It is
how
like
he figures
it's like
it
the
out.
Love Boat of cop shows. Okay. It's
Really?
like
I don't know about that.
no, seriously. I think people lined up to be on that show. They just love, it's
maybe.
like
I enjoy it. It's pretty. I won't watch. I don't think I'd watch past. It went into 10 seasons. I don't think I'd watch past season 5. Maybe.
No, I agree. And I think the best
70s.
ones are the movie length early ones.
Yeah.
So
remember that whole that Saturday night movie,
which was one of the other wheels. It was a wheel, what they call a wheel.
It was a
McLeod,
Macmillan and wife.
Macmillan and wife, Columbo,
McLeod. Something else. One other one.
Yeah, and there was a floater that didn't stick. So, but yep.
Anyway, all right, that's the retro binge. Someone else pick the next one.
So, you want to go the one season?
Sure.
Okay.
So
am I going?
Go, Todd.
Okay.
You picked
okay,
it.
so
Go.
I'm gonna
Pick
break the
someone to
rule
go.
right out of the chute here. This is not one season. It's technically 2 seasons, but there's only 23 episodes. The first season only had 10 episodes in it, and this is available on CW Seed, where all one season shows go to die.
What are we like getting royalties from by telling people where they are?
No, I'm being helpful, Dave, so that people know where to find these things, and I'm not offering up things that are inaccessible. Okay. From 2007, Pushing Daisies. Have you either of you ever seen this? Okay.
No.
Just Barry, there's a little bit of The Good Place in it. It's that kind of thing. It may be a little almost Tim Burton-esque for Dave. Okay. But so Lee Patchy, who we know as Ronan the Accuser, okay, has a very special power, okay? If he touches you, if you've died and he touches you, you come back alive. Okay? But if he touches you a second time, you die forever. Okay? And
I did not know that's what that was about.
And does he know that? So does he
very
use that
interesting.
to his will?
But the other thing is, every time he revives someone or something, including like a beloved pet as a child, something else dies. Okay? So it's one of these classic, like, Faustian bargain things. But so he revives the woman that he loves and can't touch her. Okay? So it's really good. It's got a really interesting cast. It's funny as hell. And but really good. One of the best canceled shows ever, and you can get on CW Seed, where, like I said, there's tons of one season shows just sitting there for you. So, Barry, what do you got?
I mean, I would go with the obvious for anybody who hasn't seen Firefly. They've got to go watch Firefly. I know it's only 14 total episodes, but
oh yeah, that's a given. If you haven't seen that, you shouldn't be listening to this show.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's also very rewatchable. So even if you have seen it, it's a great rewatch.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And then my alternate on that, and I'm just going to say it just to make you guys laugh, go out and watch Selfie. It was a good show. It had a terrible title. It has the adorable Karen Gillan in it, and it was actually a good show. And it got canceled because it had a terrible title. I think he just threw. Yeah, Todd's done.
No, you want to know something? When I picked my list, I looked up lists of one season shows. That was on a lot of people's lists.
Really?
So
yeah, I didn't even look. Mine was kind of.
I'm telling you guys, and I don't expect either of you ever will go watch it, but it really was a pretty good show. It really was. I enjoyed it. So,
okay, fair enough. I had a couple. It's funny. What Todd's comment about the 300,000 people still alive from World War II. I totally. Band of Brothers is one season and is the best. The best thing on television ever, in my opinion. You could watch that 10 times. That is must see television. If anyone's not seen that, it is one of the best things ever made for television.
It is humbling.
Without question.
It is entertaining. It is so inspiring, and you realize, like I said, it makes you realize how little is called of us. Okay, how much we have, and how little is asked of us for what we have, and it's absolutely extraordinary. And I sat down with Evan and I watched a bunch of it. My son, a few years ago.
I did with Mark.
And he finished it on his own. And when he was done, he called me, and I say called me, not texted me. He actually called me and said, "Thank you for showing that to me." And it's fantastic. And if, like I said, if you haven't seen it up till now, that's not a bad thing, because you have an extraordinary 10 episodes to look forward to.
Yeah.
That like I said, should. Did you watch The Pacific?
I did, and I did not like it.
It does not
I'm
measure
so
up.
excited for it.
It does not measure up. They try to get lightning in a bottle again. It's a different war, really, despite being the same war. It's a very different war. They try to work other elements into it, and I think it was a noble effort, and it may have been very good if not for, it's like having the super achieving older brother kind of thing.
I was so excited for that and very
too.
disappointed. It just was not the same at all.
So
I mean, the only thing I would say, and I'm not throwing any shade here at all, but that to me was not a season. That was a miniseries that was never meant to go on to be more. And I thought of this topic more, this one more as things that were
selfie
that canceled after a season or not renewed after a season.
It's one season.
It's one season.
Okay. It's a miniseries. It's different.
The other thing I'd throw out is Freaks and Geeks. If you haven't seen Freaks and Geeks,
Yes. Yep.
That's the other thing I had on my list. Really good.
Yep. Band of Brothers is also really good in the respect that you can watch. Once you've seen it, you can go back and rewatch any episode at any time. And everyone
It's
in
got
that,
a fantastic cast too.
everyone in that's what I was going to say. Everyone in it you've seen everywhere else. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. If you could binge one thing, that's the one thing you should binge, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with the mindless entertainment. I'm not exactly sure if I.
Boy, I'm not.
My
My last two here kind of float back and forth between the two. So.
What was your last one?
No, I'm saying my last two categories here. My big binge and my mindless entertainment could be.
Well,
be
I mean, I was the one that named this one, so maybe
you go.
I'll
Yes,
first.
so please go. I'm curious what you got.
I've got The Office for this one, and I think of it mindless because it's the kind of thing that you can watch it from the beginning and binge it all the way through. You can just catch an episode from the middle season and just enjoy that. And I think of it as fairly. I mean, I love the show. Don't get me wrong. I think of it though as kind of mindless in that you don't need to. There's not a lot of paying attention. There's not a lot of. I mean, the story does actually continue from episode to episode loosely, but so that was what I was thinking when I was thinking of like mindless things that you can jump in and out of, things that don't necessarily require.
I took that a little bit different way, but I see what you're saying.
So what I would add to that, by the way, there's two of the actresses on the show, Jenna Fisher and I forget the other woman's name. They have a podcast now called Office Ladies. And they're rewatching episode by episode and
that's funny.
Doing deep dives into each episode. And I've actually been listening to it and rewatching as they talk about each episode. And they bring guests on. They have the producers on. They've had the cameramen on. They've had other actors. And it's actually great. And they're pointing out so much little stuff in the background that makes it a really enjoyable rewatch. So if you do want to watch The Office again from the beginning, I recommend doing it along with this podcast.
I would say as long as you follow the rule that the show was canceled when Steve Carell left, it's a great show. So,
and I don't even mind the stuff after.
See, I feel like that's just wandering in the dark.
It's Angela, by the way. The other actress
okay, yes,
was
yeah.
Angela. It's the two of them who actually are best friends in real life, and they do this
I've
podcast
heard that.
together.
Angela
Kinsey, I think her name is.
Kinsey, yep. If you haven't seen The British Office, have you watched The British Office?
I've seen that. Yeah.
Okay.
Some of it.
It is really interesting to watch just because the contrast in the first season episodes of The Office are adaptations of the British episodes.
Only the first one.
It doesn't really. No, there's a couple other things in there that are the thematically they're lifted.
The pilot is almost word for word.
Is almost shot.
Yeah.
They grabbed the themes of the other episodes and littered them through the first season, and none of them work as well as what came afterwards. Okay, because Ricky Gervais and Steve Carell are very different people in the same role, and so, but.
Well, what's interesting too, and if you dig into this podcast, they actually talk about how they tried to make him more likable.
Oh yeah,
actually, they only had 6 episodes in the first season.
Yeah,
and they weren't sure if they were coming back. They got another 6 episodes for the second season. Then it got renewed. Then it got extended. But yeah, they made a conscious choice to actually change his look a little bit and make him more likable.
Yeah,
and they talk about exactly the point in time when that happened.
Yeah,
and something that he says in an episode that made him more likable, and then they move on. Yeah. So I've really enjoyed rewatching it along with this podcast. It's actually really cool.
Yeah. The thing with the British ones is it is painfully awkward to watch. I mean, I
remember that.
You cringe throughout this entire. I mean, there's things that Michael Scott says that you're like, ooh, that was bad. In this, you're just like, oh my god. And it's fun. And I think particularly if you've seen The Office, it's like seeing The Office in an alternate reality, and I would recommend that too. So, good choice, Barry.
So, what did you guys have in this category?
You want me to go?
Yeah.
I just changed gears on that because I really was thinking something different, but I get what you're saying where you could jump in at any time. And to me, there's like 2 obvious ones. Well, now I guess there's 3 obvious ones. And I'm not The Big Bang Theory, Friends, and Seinfeld. Those are those 3. You can jump in any episode. But I'm going to me, down the road, if you haven't seen it, is The King of Queens. I watched it while it was on, and it is funny, and it is certainly follows that. You can jump in at any time. What's his face is Doug.
Kevin James
is funny.
Yep.
His father-in-law, who was Jerry Stiller, who was on Seinfeld, is funny as well. I would put that in that sort of jump in anytime. Pam and I watched every episode of that. I could totally watch them all. Certainly not at the Seinfeld level, but a couple notches below.
Yeah.
To me, that was on par with like Everyone Loves Raymond. Like,
which is also good.
Which is also good. I like them both.
Yeah. Yeah.
His parents were annoying and not really funny, and the wife was annoying a little bit.
In what?
But everyone's funny
Raymond?
on.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway,
so what's yours, Todd?
I would go with 30 Rock. I love that show. I think it's grossly underrated. It really was, it had a great ensemble cast of really, really quirky characters. And it was it was the Seinfeldy thing with one sort of sane person at the middle who themselves was not that sane. Okay. So everybody else kind of, floated around Liz Lemon, Tina Fey, and then she would totally be, she was a little bit wacko too. And they achieved that balance, I think, brilliantly in the same way that Seinfeld did, where, he wasn't like just the normal guy with all these odd people around him. He had his own really strange quirks too. And,
right.
And I think in a lot of ways, Seinfeld was a template for that show. And there's even several callbacks to Seinfeld throughout the series. Alec Baldwin, absolutely brilliant. And in fact, Alec Baldwin created a character in that show that one might argue he has been playing ever since.
Pretty much.
He does it in ads. He does it everywhere. And yeah, it's but everyone in that connected with that show is really really good.
No, that's true. That's true. I felt like it jumped around when it was on the first time. It didn't get its due, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yep. You know. But I totally agree with that. That's something I could probably rewatch. I don't even know how many seasons it was. It wasn't a ton.
It was
7.
like 5, I think.
Yeah,
7. Wow.
Yeah, it's 7, but one was a split. See, they had a.
Yeah, they kind of chopped it up.
Yeah.
Tina Fey is just a genius. She's awesome.
She really is.
Yeah.
She can. She's another one like like Steve Carell, who has this intimate sense of the awkward, and she can make it. She can walk that line really really well, where you simultaneously feel sorry for her and think, "Ooh, I'm so glad I didn't do that myself." And yeah, very 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 good. So.
You mentioned Seinfeld a couple times. It's worth mentioning. This current season of Curb Your Enthusiasm has been ridiculously funny. I don't know if either of you are watching it.
I haven't seen it. No.
Oh my god, it's great.
No.
Got to check that out.
Yeah. That's another one that
Cool.
Eventually I will catch up with. So.
Yeah. Okay, Big Binge, which is sort of like a lot of seasons, a heavy lift, but I guess in our opinion worth lifting.
Yeah.
Todd, this is your idea, so why don't you go first?
Okay. I've got mine. I've got my go-to, and then I've got a kind of a fallback. Well, not even a fallback. This is a precondition. Every once in a while, I run into a misguided individual who has never seen Chuck. Okay? If you have never seen Chuck, I'm not sure we can be friends, but you need to stop what you're doing and watch Chuck, and which you can do. You can do on Amazon Prime, because apparently I'm getting paid by these people. I'm
just curious. I just thought that was helpful.
It's awesome. It's never it morphs. It changes a little bit. There's a lot of good guest stars. It's it's kind of a dramedy. It's funny. It's totally uncategorizable.
It's a spy drama that doesn't take itself too seriously, which is nice.
You never have to take it too seriously, but it's just a whole lot of fun. And so, like I said, that would be the one that, like I said, if for some odd reason you didn't see that, and
There's
the
a lot
odd
of
reason
people
might have
seen
been
it.
they shit all over the schedule with that show. They moved it
Another one,
quite a bit.
True.
It got caught in the writer's strike, I think. But he does a fantastic job. Yvonne Strahovski is great. Jane, what's his name, is great. It's really good. So that's it. But my other is
Adam Baldwin.
Adam Baldwin. Thank you. I was blanking. There's too many Baldwins out there, even though they're not related. I get it. There's too many.
Most of them are, except for him.
Except for him. If you've got the time, sit back, wade in slow. You got to give a lot of leeway to the first season, but Buffy the Vampire Slayer is and always will be amazing. It's absolutely awesome. Once by the time you get to like the third, fourth season, it's absolutely fantastic. The show never takes itself too seriously, but you will, and really, really good. And yeah, again, a great ensemble cast, and a whole lot of fun while they're killing vampires. So, or sleeping with them, depending on what season. So,
there you go.
Okay, Dave, what do you got? That's on Hulu, by the way.
I was not going to pick this show, and then I was watching TV, and I'm picking Stargate. The movie was on, the Kurt Russell movie. I was just watching the other night, and I'm like, okay, I finished the end of it. It's okay. It's not great. And I'm like, I don't remember the season premiere of Stargate SG-1, so I'm like, let me throw that on. It's on Amazon Prime, by the way. I got to tell you, that season premiere, and I didn't expect it, held up for me. There's enough action and interest.
And naked breasts.
I've probably watched a dozen episodes in the past week and a half.
Yeah.
It's a lot. There's a lot of heavy lift in there too. Some seasons,
Yeah.
I would say you could watch up till 8. I wouldn't go to 10, but I picked out all these episodes that I watched and thoroughly enjoyed. The only thing that's weird about it that doesn't hold up is anytime. So it started in '97. Anytime they're in like street clothes, they're super baggy.
Yeah.
Remember in the 90s, everything was baggy.
Yeah.
Jack's clothes were so big, but given the time and the ease, I would watch all of them over again. And today I watched Window of Opportunity. Todd, I know one of our favorites, the time travel, the time loop one. And I don't think we ever really talked about this over the past bunch of years, but Samantha Carter is probably the original super hot genius girl.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
we never brought her in when we were talking about Felicity and whoever,
Kate and Snow.
But
there's I gotta say they have 2 time travel episodes in there that or the time loop and time travel, which I think are absolutely brilliant.
1969.
1969. The
I've watched that one the
resolution
other
of
day,
1969, I think, is fantastic.
But let me tell you something. Watching this now, Jack is every word out of Jack O'Neill, who's the lead, is a smart ass remark. I knew that then, but just rewatching it, and I don't know if because when I was watching this live, Sam was 35 and I was 35, and now it's 20 years later and she's still 35. Boy, she's spectacular.
Yeah.
I knew she was then, but
Yep.
and just I'm happy to be. I'll be rewatching that for the next.
I
couple
may
weeks.
jump into that because I think it's just far enough away that I have a hard time remembering the early episodes, and I may try that from the beginning too and just see.
It may be tough because I've been jumping around because there's a lot of. You read the description, the gold, it's a lot of gold stuff in there.
There's yeah.
And I was happy that because I have every season on DVD, and I was like, am I going to break out my DVDs? Because that's not going to be easy, but it's all on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So
it's
I've got a list of about
Stargate?
7 or 8 runners up, and that's on my list of. And I've seen some of a lot of the Stargate series, but I don't believe I've ever seen all of the Stargate series. So
it's daunting. There's a ton of it out there, but I say it's
there's a lot of Stargate.
I think it's more good than bad.
Big time.
And there's definitely some filler episodes, but yeah, no, it's good.
All 5 seasons of Atlantis are good, and the 2 seasons of Universe were good.
I think I've seen all of Atlantis.
I went back and I rewatched some of Universe recently, and I feel like that's very underrated. I might
rewatch those seasons. We had our pal Ming Na before we knew she was our pal.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, no, it's good.
When Richard Dean Anderson stopped being interested, that's when it sort of stops being interesting. So
it was, but when he was on his game in there, the really good thing
he's great.
He is not Jack O'Neill from the movie, and he's not MacGyver. Okay?
No.
And he's a completely different character, but he's very believable, and he's perfect for that.
He's clever in the whole thing. He's really all those characters are good. I mean, him and Sam, and they're the whole moonlighting. Are they going to get together? Or not going to get together? There's that whole thing. But
Teal'c is great.
Happy to rediscover
that. Really good.
So who didn't go?
Barry.
Todd, Barry, you didn't go.
I think. Oh yeah, I didn't go. I've got to go with Lost, and I know you guys aren't happy with Lost. And I feel like the first 3 or 4 seasons of Lost makes it worth watching it all the way through, even though it maybe didn't stick the landing the way it should have. It's so good for the first 3 seasons that it's.
Yeah, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Okay,
I'll let you
Barry,
talk.
I'm
say,
just
it's
going
so
to
good
say,
for
Let him talk.
I'm just going to say, didn't stick the landing. Okay, this didn't get into the same state as the runway. Okay, it's like
Some people are happier with the ending than others. Let's just go
I
there.
don't even think the last season, ending. I think there's that one middle season that you can just throw away. That was
I
just
think,
horrible.
but I think it's also the mindless meandering and the claim in the whole time insisting that this all comes together and means something was the original, like, kind of bait and switch thing. And
Well, yeah,
No,
but you know what? But
X-Files
looking-
was the original bait and switch thing.
what is it? What's that?
X-Files was.
Yeah, X-Files for sure.
X-Files made you watch 9 years and they never got anywhere.
I can't.
But
I wish I could.
digress.
I wish I could
Okay.
disagree
Lost,
with that. Yeah.
whether you're whether you like the way it ended or not, they made a decision and they went with it, and most people were unhappy with it. But at least they committed to something and ended. Unlike X-Files, where they never committed to anything. And
They still haven't ended.
I will. On that point, I will concede that. Barry, if you excised Evangeline Lilly from this, would you feel differently?
I love, you know what? All the mythology, all the stuff in the first 2-3 seasons.
The first 3 seasons are great. There's no doubt about it. Great.
It is great, and I almost wished if they just embraced the "you'll never understand what any of this means," that would have been one thing. But promising repeatedly that it was all going to be tied together neatly, which, like I said, you can go back and read it. They did over and over again, and it's
No, and I know. Trust
many
me,
seasons
it's
are
the
there?
first
6?
It's
What's
6.
that?
5?
It's the first show that I, but also most people ever, when it ended, went online and read stuff and listened to podcasts and all that. I mean, we were digging into it, looking for more meaning than even that they put into it, and they put an awful lot into it.
There was a lot of it was one of the big water cooler things.
And it was one of the big early ones. The first one of the first ones that had the big online thing. But what is amazing about that show is truly amazing about that show is if you read about how that show started and how that show was put together, it is absolutely incredible. That show was put together in no time whatsoever. Okay, the show was cast based on they're going through casting lists of people who weren't hired for other series, but were supposed to have been committed, but didn't end up being hired. And they had they had basically a studio in Hawaii that they'd owned from Magnum PI, whatever, that had been all this stuff with this thing was built with basically existing materials in an incredibly tight period of time, with no expectation that this would go longer than a season, but they needed something to fill in the slot that they had.
But the fact that they turned out that first season based on all of that is
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it is an incredible. It's an incredible accomplishment in that regard. They just didn't hold it together. But like I said, if you go back and I'm trying to think of what book it was, but it was featured in one of the books on TV that I read a few years ago, and the casting was who's not working, and then they wrote parts around the cast that they could get. They knew they needed like 6 recognizable people, and once they had that, they said, "Okay, we'll make this person a doctor. We'll make this person a." It was
and
amazing.
Jack, the main character, they originally intended to kill him in the pilot episode,
right? Because he wasn't going to commit to And again, it's like I said, totally. I give them high props for what they had to make up as they went along. I hold them very accountable for claiming throughout the whole thing that they actually had a plan, which it's now clear, and people have admitted that there never actually was a plan.
Yeah, but there are other franchises that some of us enjoy that also don't have plans. And it's we felt betrayed by it at the time. I bet if you went back and watched it now, you'd feel a little bit less betrayed by that.
Very much. And I also think, Barry, because this was the first true online presence show where you had people involved in it that were directly interacting with the fans. And again, like I said, I think people would be smart enough to do that differently now. Okay. You won't have people involved in The Mandalorian saying, "Oh, in the next couple episodes, everything is revealed," and then it not happen and say, "Oh, but we're going to hold off until," it's like they didn't know how to manage that at the time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I have a feeling that if somebody were to go into it fresh now, they wouldn't have all of that going on,
right?
And they wouldn't have all that baggage, and they might be able to enjoy it a little bit better than we expected so much, and we also had to wait in some cases months for the next episode because they were taking these big long breaks. And if you binged it now, I just think it would be a different experience than what we had watching it in real time.
Lost was also historic in that it was the first time that a network repeatedly re-aired the pilot. Okay, they aired the pilot over the course of 2 weeks in 3 different time frames because they had such a weak season. This was its post-writer's strike. Is that when this was? There was something for some reason. Anyways, Probably. They didn't have a bunch of shows ready, so they kept re-showing the pilot of a special encore showing of the thing, and it worked. It was a Hail Mary pass, and it just hooked a bunch of people and brought them in. Because I saw it after people were already talking about it, and they did it on a re-airing, and this was long before streaming. So, yep.
So one other thing that I would just throw in there, which I found really, really interesting, a woman that works on my team who's in her 30s has never seen Cheers and decided to start watching Cheers from the beginning. Had never seen an episode. And absolutely loved it. So I do think there's a lot of these shows that we kind of take for granted that there are people who have never, ever, ever seen any of them. So there's a lot of stuff like that. I mean, there's people that have never seen an episode of Star Trek.
Oh, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
I know people who've never seen any Seinfeld. I mean, there's few, but it's ridiculous.
I will tell you a surprising one is there's a whole lot of people who have never seen any MASH, which to me I thought was something you could never get away from.
Because when we were growing up, it was on
MASH
every day.
Ended in
but it was also they syndicated the hell out of that.
No, not 70, 83.
Yeah, but I'm saying they syndicated the hell out of that. That was like Seinfeld before Seinfeld was Seinfeld. It was everywhere in syndication, and then it wasn't. And I almost wonder whether Seinfeld was the thing that bumped it.
It kind of disappeared. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Cool. Okie dokie. Let us know if you've got any binge suggestions. Throw them at us. We'll love to hear them. Let's go what's in the box.
Show you with the box. Who's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
Regular Joe's What's in the Box.
Todd,
okay.
What's in the box?
So I'm holding up the 8-inch Eagle Moss Enterprise from Discovery. This is a really cool design. It kind of incorporates all the elements, little different elements from the different Enterprises over the years. I really, really like this. I was very, very happy with this one until Sean showed me that he had the 10-inch version of this. And while they say size doesn't matter, it just kind of bothered me that there was a 10-inch one and I'd settled for the 8-inch. So I bought it again, and here is the 10-inch one. As you can see, I've got a picture of the two of them side by side. It's just as cool, but just more so.
And more detail. You get more detail at the larger scale.
You get more detail, and let's face it, I'm just a sucker waiting to jump on the hook for Eagle Moss. I pretty much bought everything with Enterprise on it. So
that's the only Enterprise that they've made that I don't have a model of yet.
And it's I got to say, it's really cool, and I like it. And I have the XL size ones of all the other Enterprises, all the significant Enterprises. So I'm happy to have this one, and I'll figure out a place to put it soon. And Dave, you are the lucky recipient of the 8-inch model, which I'll pass off to you.
I would be very lucky to get the 8-inch model.
So and not complain at all. So
they actually have a model kit of that Enterprise coming out that I'm actually thinking of buying and building.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. There's a
old
lighted
school
one,
or
right?
a
Is
new
that
one,
the
or?
Lighted one you're talking about?
Yeah, no. So there's a new model kit of that Enterprise coming out that they've got a lighting kit for, and it's
I saw that. That's really
so
cool.
I'm tempted on that. I might make that a project at some point. I've got my models are stacking up, so I'm not gonna pull the trigger on it yet. But that is something I'd like to do at some point because I am with you. I love the design of that ship.
Yeah. So not only do you guys spend my money, but does Daryl spend my money? But Sean is also now spending my money. Thanks, buddy.
There you go.
Okay.
Vicious circle.
Barry, what do you got?
I've got something that I have also something I already own, and I bought this thinking it was something else, and it's my bad for not reading more clearly. But clearly, if I were to show you what I read, it was falsely advertised. But what this is this is an Empire Strikes Back Tauntaun. I have one already, but I didn't have one in a box. Not that I wanted one in a box necessarily, but there's two versions of the Tauntaun from the 80s. There's the regular Tauntaun, and then they have one called an open belly Tauntaun, where there was a slit down the belly, and you could open it up and put Luke or whoever inside. And I have the regular one, and I wanted the open belly version.
Of course, of course you did.
But the reason I wanted it is that, I have Luke in my regular Tauntaun, and I wanted to put Han in the open belly Tauntaun, because that's the one that Han drove. So when I read the listing, what the guy wrote was open belly Tauntaun instructions, which this came with. But he clearly listed it as open belly Tauntaun and then instructions, so that you would read open, because the open belly Tauntaun in good shape is much harder to get than the regular one, because the rubber material they put in the belly area doesn't hold up. So I paid for this one thinking I was getting the open belly version, but what I got was the regular version in the regular box with the open belly instruction sheet.
That's nonsense. Did you complain to that guy?
I did, and he wrote, well, that's what I wrote. So, whatever. I do have a Han figure to go with it. I bought this at the same time, so I will put the Han Hoth figure in there, and I'll keep on my quest for an open belly Tauntaun, but for now I've got two regular belly Tauntauns and one with Han and one with Luke. So, still not bad, but not exactly what I thought I was getting. And the guy clearly falsely advertised it. But, with what's going on in the world right now, I bought this just before the world went to hell, so I'm really not going to go to war with the guy over it. So, anyway, that's what I got.
Fair enough.
That is,
Dave?
that is definitely odd. Wording in these things is very strange. I think I told you guys not long ago I sold a Thor, and I said, does not come with either this or that. And the guy who won it said, I would like the this. And I said, no, it says it doesn't come with this or that. And he says, right. So you're saying I get one or the other. And I was like,
oh, boy.
I'm like, what? I said, if I said he didn't have socks.
Meaning I'm going to hold back one of these two things.
Apparently that's how this guy read it, despite the fact that, no, seriously. I have like an email thread with this guy.
Of anything that's not literal.
In which I try to teach him English. And, I use the example. I said, he did not have shoes or socks. You don't expect that he is one of those two things. Please. He didn't have a jack or a spare.
Socks. I'll take the shoes.
It doesn't mean that he had a jack or a spare. It's like, no, that's what he said. He said, he wanted one,
that's
and I
crazy.
ended up reselling it to somebody else. But, he accused me
I
of not using English
screen
properly, and so.
I'm going to do a screen grab of the listing of it and send it to you guys just so you can tell me if I just was my bad or his.
Yeah, a lot of times you like this fellow, you see what you want to see, but I think you probably were led down the path, Barry.
Yeah, no, I think this guy knew exactly what he was doing because I paid a fair price for this, but it was what I thought was a really good price for what I thought I was buying. Instead, I paid exactly what it was worth.
Yeah, so, I would say that would
I didn't
be
get ripped off.
Say,
it's just I wouldn't have bought
also it. Included as a bonus the instructions for the blank version.
For the other version, right.
Yeah.
Right. So, when you're selling a box toy, you don't lead with the version of instructions.
You don't lead with the instructions for a different toy.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, Dave, what's in the box?
Okay. I'm curious if you guys know what this is. Barry should. Todd may not. I'll hold it here, and I'll rotate it around a little bit.
It's a vacuum cleaner adapter.
No. So you don't.
No, it's a Graflex.
Here's what it says.
It's a Graflex. That's the one that they made Darth Vader's lightsaber out of.
No, it's not.
It's
not.
That's another one. What? Whose is that made of?
I'm sending you 3 pictures, and I just went down a rabbit hole on this. This is the Graflex that they made a lightsaber for the holiday special out of.
Oh.
So Luke has, I guess they didn't have the one they made for him because it was in England still, and they filmed this in the United States, and they threw together a lightsaber for him for the holiday special. And I found this on the RPF. There's a whole thing, a guy building one, and then a guy was making some special parts, but they built this out of this. So this is a Graflex 3-cell flash holder.
Yep.
Comes with the other stuff from the 50s. Here's the top.
Oh, see, I would have thought that was like a 60s or 70s version. It looks newer.
It definitely looks different.
They say from and I don't know the dates. The original lightsaber one supposedly from the 30s or 40s. This is from the 50s or 60s. This is plastic. It's sort of that Bakelite stuff. Okay. So it's got to be pretty early. So is that
like brushed aluminum or is it? What is it?
It's brushed aluminum.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I associate that with like 65 forward, but
yeah, I don't know what year it's from. There's a Graflex, and then the later model is Graflite. They're called. Yep. This is the model 2773, but I'm going to build one because this guy has this whole thing, and then if you look at the picture that I sent you, and I'll forward these. There's this weird black box. There's a guy who has done painstaking research and is 3D printing the black box and is there's this weird metal aluminum pointy piece that
like a shroud over the top of it. That.
All the stuff. I was fascinated. I read this for maybe 4 hours the other day, and I picked this up cheap. I picked his kit up. I picked up some grips from Todd's costume. So I thought that was a fun project. I never knew that at all.
Yeah, I haven't studied the holiday special enough to even realize it was a different lightsaber.
Some people did, and not so. Supposedly, it's only on screen for like a minute. Then, I guess the stuntman in Empire who played Luke when he was in his snowspeeder and then cabling up to the AT-AT was using that one as well too.
Huh.
So
I wonder if that's still in the archives because I mean you just never see that.
I don't know, but it made sense that they had to throw it together because it was here in the United States and all the props.
I'm gonna have to ask the guy that I know that actually gets to go to the archives if he's ever seen that there.
Yeah, I'd be curious about that. So
yes,
that's a that is going to be on my workbench.
That's cool.
So that is without question the one screen used lightsaber that neither of you has up until now. So that's good.
Yeah,
that's true.
It can be put together relatively inexpensively.
Yeah, what I want to do.
So this isn't one of those times where you say.
And I want to get a reproduction of that.
This isn't one of those times where you go, and I'm making 3 of them, right? You don't have a surprise up your sleeve?
I don't have... I got this one cheap. If you guys want to go find these, I'll be happy.
We can play the home game.
You're going to have to...
Yep.
You're going to probably have to put about $125 into this thing between the parts and the stuff. So I didn't do that.
Okay. That's fine.
I got another quick what's in the box that I needed double-sided tape that was 1/4 inch wide, and I bought this on Amazon. I got 6 rolls of different widths of double-sided tape for $8.50. That's a bargain.
That is a deal.
We're almost ready for a fun with tape segment. You know that. It's
you know how much tape I have.
Yeah.
But that was a good deal. So if you need double-sided tape, check it out. Okay. Any last thoughts? Anything?
No.
Stay inside, people.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say.
It's just you can't say it enough.
Keep your kids inside. Let them. Did we talk? If you got an older-ish kid and he's in high school, make him learn something to better himself or herself. An instrument. Read a book they haven't read. Learn a new language. Do something. There's time.
Draw, paint, do something creative.
Do something. Don't let them out.
And I will say this.
Tough.
I will say this as an educator. Have patience with your teachers. They have a very difficult job. Your kids' teachers, they have a very difficult job that they were not, in most cases, were not trained to work this way. I know a lot of really good people who are going through a lot of effort to adapt and to continue to do what they need to do to educate our kids under circumstances that no one really imagined or planned for. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. Be patient. It'll all happen in time. So, yep.
I've seen a number of very entertaining memes, my favorite being there's an awful lot of parents that are about to find out that it was not the teacher's fault.
Yeah. Boy, is that true. Yep. So,
There are a lot of memes.
I was doing teacher training today, and I said one of the more eye-opening things that I said to one of the groups was, to all of the groups was, you know those class visit days where you've got parents sitting in your class? Every day is a class visit day from now on. So that is the nature of things. So.
Okay, people, be safe out there.
Yep.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.